Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices Podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everyone, to the Life Choices Podcast, where we discuss mindset, success, the good and the tough aspects of going after your passion. So, talking about the fact that there are a lot of people out there that don't want to help or don't want you to succeed, everyone out there needs to understand that you're going to have a lot of these people coming at you when you're trying to build a business, when you're trying to go after your passion, because I believe that a lot of people don't want you to succeed because they're worried about their succession lowering than yours.
Of course. They don't want to, nobody wants to see you doing better than them.
Isn't that horrible though?
It is.
Like, I'm a strong believer. And like I said, like in the future, when one of our viewers emails us or contacts us and wants to do a podcast, even if it's the same theme as what we're doing,
right?
I'm so confident in myself and I'm so aware of what we're trying to do that I would just welcome that person to come and do their job and give them the information, because they're going to do it differently. Yeah. They're going to do it the way they do it.
Right.
And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think there's so much success out in the world for everybody. If everyone just helped a little bit, you'd have more people successful.
Of course.
More people successful means more happy people.
But then you got greed that comes in.
Ooh, that is a motherfucker.
You know, I mean, me, for instance, I'm not greedy at all. I want to see everybody that I know doing well.
Right.
You know, I'd love to see my friends opening their own business and whatnot. I think it's great. I think we should have more business parties.
Absolutely.
You know, like, hey man, and talk about the idea. You know, like, hey man, I just opened up my business. Hey, what can I do to help you?
I love that idea. I'm going to roll with it. After this, we're going to have a meeting, Tice and I. We're going to jot that note down. And when we figure out how to do that, we're going to do so. We're going to collaborate on that level of stuff. I think we should definitely start making events of business owners from all different fields to come together. And maybe the first one's only maybe like half dozen people. Maybe it's just 6 people that go to Flanagan's or something. Yeah. And we sit and we talk about each other's businesses, what we're going through, how we got there, how we're not getting there, and all that sort of stuff. And then just build on that.
Or what they did that helped them grow.
Right.
You know, and it, you know, it's awesome. I love talking to my friends that have their own businesses and, you know, see the struggles that they go through.
Right.
Like, oh man, we haven't had that struggle yet.
Yeah.
But I have had this one.
Exactly. I mean, you can definitely always share the struggles for sure. I mean, that's why like when you got here today, I kind of like gave you a rundown of the compound here. Out in the world, when I talk to people I work with, I always discuss how I live on a compound. And in essence, it is, but it isn't. Like, it's a bunch of houses and a group of us men live in each one of these units, and everyone owns their own company.
Right.
TJ is the youngest of our group. We call him the Kid. He's 33, but you know his nickname is the Kid, and he just opened up his LLC. Right. He's going to be fixing and flipping cars because he's a mechanic.
Okay.
And you know, Cameron lives next to us. He owns a company called Hellbent Custom Garage. It's a metal woodwork fabrication company. And Brian, who lives in the back house, he owns Frio Cryotherapy, which is in Tequesta. And I'm opening up this business, you know, Life Choices, over the past couple of years, and I get to see all of them do their things. And I get to learn, even though they're in completely different fields, I get to see what they go through on a daily basis with developing a company, running a company. And it's so interesting how more people don't come together to help each other out to become successful. A big reason why you're here today is because we had hit it off so well in the Bahamas. Our personalities were kind of aligned with the way we were like looking at life,
right,
let alone business, and how you just said that, you know, you really care about all of your friends getting to that level. I think that's important, because all I've ever wanted is the same thing. Why wouldn't we want to level up with everyone that we hang out with?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
We're obviously friends. You know, who wants to be like, hey, I want to go do this. Oh man, I don't really have that much. I don't have that money. And then it's like, oh, well, sorry. Okay. You can't go. So then you have the 3 or 4 people that do have the money to do that. And you're like, hey, well, we're not going to hang out with Joe anymore. You know, or it just kind of happens that way. I'm not saying that you say that.
Right. But unfortunately, if that person isn't, So why not help him level up so he can be part of that?
So we can all, live the lifestyle that we like to live.
Yeah. It's so funny because, like, do you remember the days when you were younger where you didn't have that cash?
So I had this conversation a couple days ago with, actually, I think it was my sister.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation, and I said, it's crazy how, let's say 4 years ago, you had $3,000 in the bank, and you're like, man, I'm fucking doing good.
Yeah.
And now if my bank account gets below, let's just call it 50,000, I'm like, oh, something's wrong. I'm broke. I can't afford to eat. It's crazy. Before I'm writing $100 checks. Now I just bought 2 motors for 50 something thousand,
and it wasn't a big deal.
It was like nothing. It's crazy. It's like I could never write a check for 50. I couldn't write a check for $5,000.
Right. But that's phenomenal though. That really shows the success that you've gone by working hard. I was just checking levels there. I remember back in the day in my 20s, like I grinded like 7 days a week at a job. I usually had 2 or 3 different jobs at the same time. So some days I worked 2 or 3 jobs in the same 24 hours. And still at that point when my friends were like, hey, do you want to go snowboarding? I'd have to be like, I'd use the excuse like, oh no, I'm working tomorrow.
I'm busy.
But realistically, I just didn't have cash to do it.
Right.
And then my life switched where I got into this industry where, I'm a private chef on yachts, and all of a sudden that income just like inflated like massively. And back then I didn't have a business I was building. So I had all this extra money. So I literally was like, I was living like a king. It was such a great feeling. And then I started opening up a business, and all of a sudden that money starts coming back down.
Yeah. But it'll come back up.
Absolutely.
It's because you're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Instead of going out and spending your money at the bar or stupid things like that, you're investing in something that's going to better your life.
Exactly.
And you can't, and in my eyes, you can't put a price tag on that.
Absolutely not. And that's what I try to tell everybody out here where, you run into someone, which I'm sure you did when you were building your business. They'd be like, oh, how's the business going? How's the business going? And, it's going in the direction it needs to.
Right. It's you don't want to be like, oh yeah, we're doing great. We're phenomenal. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to be like, oh, we're having a bad week this week.
Yeah.
It's, and I'll tell you what, another thing is hard is once you are doing well, you get the people that try to put you down.
Absolutely.
Like, so for instance, once we started doing well and everything was going the right direction, I went out and got myself a new truck. Well, okay. I've never had a new truck. I mean,
is that the beast outside?
It's
fucking gorgeous.
So I've always had used trucks and whatnot. And I went out, I was like, my partner's like, listen, man, you work hard. We can afford it. Let's, go out and get yourself. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay. So I went out and got myself a new truck, and then you run into people that's like, oh, must be nice. And you're like, must be nice. I bust my ass for this.
Yeah.
I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. What time do you go to work? Oh, you get up at 9, you scrolling about 10. Oh, okay. I see now. Well, maybe if you put a little bit more effort into it, you could have this as well.
Yeah.
But I bust my ass to have the things that I have.
Haters will be haters, right?
Exactly.
But you need them.
It makes me, in my eyes, it makes me want to do better. Like, oh, you think this, you like this? Wait till you see this.
Right.
Or, wait till you see the house that I moved into.
Right. Yeah, you're just going to take that energy that they're throwing at you and turn it around and make it a better situation for yourself.
Yeah, but it's like you have no idea what I go through on a day-to-day. Like, the struggles that I deal with.
Right.
Who wants to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I mean, listen, for myself, because my alarm goes off at 4:30 most days, do I want to? I mean, clearly I'm a human being. Sure, I would love to just sleep as many hours as I possibly could, but I wouldn't get to where I'm going.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, that's the sacrifice that we talk about to get to your success.
And another thing is you only get what you put in.
1000%.
If you put in a couple hours a day at work, don't expect to go far. But if you're out there hustling and grinding and doing whatever it takes to make it work, it's going to pay off in the end. It might be, you might not see it right now. Like, I've been working for 3 months, 7 days a week, and God, I feel like I'm in the same rut that I am, but it will plan out.
You just got to keep doing it.
You just got to keep doing it.
Yeah. And those haters, what they don't understand is that they should take the moment to look at themselves, right? Because they're knocking you down because you went and did something nice for yourself because you've worked so hard for it. And what they don't understand is the work that you're putting in, because a lot of the work that we do to build a company is the work people don't see. It's the hours we put in after we've done hours at work. And then on top of that, they don't know, like you said, the struggles that you're going through. They don't know what struggles you're going through in your mind. As a human being, we have other shit in our heads besides just the task at hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about building that business successfully and making sure there's food on the table. We're dealing with our own personal issues.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How do you, as a successful business person and a mature man, deal with those kind of issues, the demons in the head?
It's struggling sometimes. It is struggling. As I've gotten older, I used to not think that much. So it wasn't, I'd think about something and boom, it was out the window. Now I like dwell on it. Like, oh man, shit. When do we nose on our last breath? I'm not done yet here. Right. You can't take me yet. I'm not ready. Yeah. Obviously you're ready when the big man says you are ready.
Hey, when it's time.
Yeah.
When he calls you, he calls you.
But in your head, you're like, but I didn't get to go do, I worked too much. I didn't get to go do enjoy the stuff.
Right. So how do you find the moderation, the equilibrium of the work and enjoyment?
I don't think I found that yet.
No,
I haven't.
All work right now, little enjoyment.
You for me, when I go, like, I just went out of town here. I went with some friends and we went to Colorado and went snowboarding and whatnot. And the whole time I was gone, I was like, oh, but I should be at work. I should be back at home working. It's hard to let that go. Right. It's hard. Okay. Because you know what you've took to get to this point. Right. And you don't want to ever let it go.
Right. But you do have to find some relaxation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like going to Colorado, for me, that's brilliant. I love snowboarding. I haven't strapped into a board in years, so I think 2011, tell you the truth.
You're missing out.
I know. I got a buddy out there, actually, Russ, who's a DJ, and another guest that was on the show, DJ Nick Flash. Shout out, buddy. We were talking about like heading out there to go see this other guy, Russ. He would just show us the time of our lives. Yeah. And I'd be able to strap into a board again, and I'd probably fucking be like, why haven't I done this?
Yeah, exactly. I shouldn't.
Yeah. But right now I'm too busy doing this. Like I have my normal day job that I got to go to every day, make money so I can afford to finance the business. And then every hour that I'm not there, I'm here doing this. And like you're saying, like you're building something, so you have to put in that time. But
at the same time, in a couple of years, you might not be able to snowboard.
Exactly.
Not maybe 10, 15, maybe 30 years down the road. Right. You get to that point where you're like, hey man, I made it. Yeah. But then you're like, man, my knees hurt, my hip hurts. Like can't go down this mountain. So you don't want to let it get away from you neither.
Yeah. Everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
You really do. So I'm going to suggest it to you, buddy, because I know you work like a motherfucker. You got to take some time for yourself to turn not just the phone off, but turn this off. Right. Yeah. I mean, you got a business partner. I'm sure his phone goes off just as much. You got to find that time. Otherwise, we don't want that knock on the tap on the shoulder to say, hey, time's up.
Yeah, you're out
before we're done. Yeah,
that is true. It's just you get tied up in it. You live for your business at that point.
Yeah,
but you do need your time for yourself. I'm not saying to take a vacation every other week.
Hell no.
But maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Once every 6 months or just, and it doesn't have to go far. Like we live in West Palm, so let's say the Keys are 2-3 hours away. Going down there for just an extended weekend.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in Florida has a problem having a staycation. You know what I mean? I've done it before. I've worked on boats for like 15 years, and because I get to come into the country back and forth because I work on these yachts, and I've taken a 2-week vacation and just grabbed a hotel in Florida.
Yeah,
didn't go anywhere. Didn't have to pay for a flight.
Yeah,
went and stayed in a hotel for 2 weeks. Hung out with friends that I now have in the city, and had a great fucking time.
Yeah. It kind of gets you away.
Just that separation from work, to unwind and get re-energized to go back to it. So talking about things like, tapping on the shoulder, saying your time's up and whatnot. You're a thinker. That's clear. and I'm sure there's many topics that you have going on inside your head on a regular basis. What are some things that, like, I don't want to say worries, but things that like pique your interest, like topics of interest that relate to you but maybe not your business?
Topics of interest.
Like things that you've pondered
Like
without getting an answer.
Well, my biggest one is, when is your last breath?
Okay.
That's my biggest one.
Right.
You know, because again, I could go to sleep tonight and not wake up.
100%. It's the one thing we do with blind faith.
Yeah.
Like we have blind faith that our businesses are going to be successful. We have blind faith that we're going to be successful. Right. But that took practice. That took a mindset shift. Since you were a child, every human, well, I should say most humans since birth have had a blind faith that when they go to sleep, they'll wake up the next day.
Yeah.
And isn't that crazy that you could not?
Lately, as I've gotten older, not saying that I'm old, but
right.
older to where I've started to think about this kind of stuff. It's like, it does. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I have to put on stand-up comedy when I go to sleep. So I try not to think about it.
Okay. So that's definitely something that kind of gets you like,
yeah,
really wheels turning at night.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because then you look, for me, I think about like, well, what happens when I'm gone?
Mm-hmm.
Is my family going to be all right? Is, you know, my sister's going to be okay? You know, you always look out as the oldest, the bigger brother.
Okay.
You always take them under your wing, or, you know, do anything in your power to not provide for them, because
keep them safe.
Keep them safe. Who's going to be there if you're not there?
Right. It's a heavy thought.
Yeah,
for sure. And the unfortunate reality of it, as far as I know, it ain't going to bother you once you're gone. But or does it?
Yeah,
we don't know, right?
Exactly.
Like, we're not 100% sure on how that conversation will go. But I think, in essence, knowing you the way I do, is I think everything will be fine, because you've lived your life, or you're living your life in a good, positive way, where you do have that worry about how are they going to be once I'm gone. Like, oh, I'm gone. Is my business going to be okay? I'm gone. My sister's job, is that going to be okay? Right. Is she going to be okay? You know, how is my family going to react to that sort of stuff? These are all very normal thoughts that a lot of people have.
I went recently and I did a will.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So for that reason, you know, in my head, I was like, man, if something happens to me, my sister and her boyfriend work for me.
Okay.
So say something happens to me, well, that's both of them without a job, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, man, I need to make it sure that she's, you know, especially my sister. Obviously, I don't want anybody without a job, but you know, I had to make sure that she was, if something were to happen to me, she's still good.
Right. You know? I mean, that's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you've done then, because like I said before, sometimes family members kind of like, you know, drift apart in life and whatnot. But the fact that you still have that inside your heart, that like, if I'm gone, I need to leave something for her so she's okay.
Right. Absolutely.
That's huge. I mean, I guarantee you, when she watches this, you just made your sister cry in a positive way. I guarantee it. There's no way that
she knows, you know, that I always want, you know, the best for both of my sisters.
Right.
You know, regardless if my other sister works for me or not. But you know, I know that as long as I'm here, they're going to be okay.
Right. Okay. I mean, I like the emotions that are coming out of you right now, because it's important. You know, family's important. I'm the youngest of 3. But everything that I'm doing right now to make the company successful, you know, it's not just for me. You know, it's for my family. Like, my family's all doing fine. Right. You know, they're fine. They take care of themselves. But I want to be successful enough that I can give them more.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm the youngest. You know, that's just what was installed in my brain from my father.
Right.
You know, take care of your family. And it's not just them, it's also the people that I surround myself with. Like, the people that I've created friendships with here, the boys on the compound, you know, we've known each other for 10 or 12 years. I've had that thought too. Like, what happened if I was just gone? Like, yeah, their lives would go on, but a part of their life would be missing.
Of course.
You know, anytime you spend a large period of time with people and you've gotten that connection, there's going to be that worry about it. But that's life.
Yeah, it is life. Hey, that's the only 2 things that are guaranteed in life, right?
Yeah.
Taxes and death.
Yeah, that's what we've been told our whole life, right? Yeah. Can't escape it. No one gets out of this alive.
Yeah, right.
But that brings up a valid point, though, is if no one gets out of this alive, why not make the best of it while you're here?
100%.
Find the passion that you're most passionate about. Figure out how to make that a lifestyle or a job. Do that for the rest of your life while enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think that's also because people don't know what they want to do.
Right.
You know, who knows? I mean, I knew what I wanted to do at a younger age, which was work on boats.
Mm-hmm.
But you get some people that don't know.
Yeah.
They genuinely just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, hey, yeah, I like to do this and I like to do that, but I don't want to do it I don't want to do it every day.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I thought my passion was food and cooking because it's what I've done since I was 14.
Which, for the record, his cooking is pretty on point. I've had it multiple times.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But that was my passion because it's what I did every day for a lifetime before getting on to, the private chef on a yacht. I did it for, I think, 17 years before I got into the industry. But it wasn't what I was born to do.
Okay.
What I was born to do is what I'm doing now. What I'm doing now is talking to individuals, helping them talk about their lives and get the resources out to other people so that they can figure out what that passion is.
But how did you figure out that's what you wanted to do?
It just fucking inside of me. It just I just noticed that I was a talker, that I just enjoyed conversing with people.
Right.
And I noticed that I was shifting away from people that just had drivel, just nonsense conversations. Yeah. And I noticed how present I was when talking to an individual on a deep topic.
Right.
And how it made me feel inside.
Yeah, but how did you get to that point from being a chef to being like, hey, I want to change this person's life. I want to help this person make it through their dark times.
I guess because I didn't really have someone in my life to do that, to have done that to me.
Okay.
And I just noticed that words are so helpful if used correctly. And I just noticed that I was talking to individuals and people would say stuff to me like, thanks for listening. Well, to tell you the truth, actually, now that you got me thinking right now, dude. That's amazing. So basically, I can think about it like this way. When you're a yacht chef on a boat, you're basically like the bartender in your local watering hole.
Correct.
Everyone seems to come to the galley to have a conversation.
They got to eat.
Well, they want to vent. They want to vent, tell you the truth. They want to come in and let off their chest what's bothering them on the day. And that situation sometimes goes from work-related stuff to personal stuff. And I've always prided myself on being that lock safe. So when someone comes and confides in me, I keep it there. It stays there. That way I build trust, and I don't ever want to lose someone's trust. It hurts me as an individual losing someone's trust. And I guess because that had happened and people just kept coming to me and confiding in me and talking to me, I was just sort of like, okay, well, I'm clearly good at this. Maybe I should think about, doing something about it. And starting Life Choices was going, this way first. We're going to do this, this, and this. And then I was like, well, what about doing this, this, and this? And now I feel so comfortable in front of the camera and talking to people, talking with people. It just feels natural.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
If you didn't do the being a chef for 17 years, okay, do you think you'd still make it in the same? Do you think that you'd still be wanting to do or in this position to do the podcast?
I love this question. I do not regret anything in my life.
Absolutely not.
I'm very happy that I am where I am right now. I'm happy for all the adversity that's come at me, and I'm happy for all the positive that come at me. The 17 years that I cooked on land got me to working on boats, which I've now done for 15 years. So,
man, what are you, like 70 years old?
Something like that, right? So I've been cooking for 30 years, 31 years now.
I cook noodles too, just to say.
45 years young. That's where I'm at right now. But yeah, all of that was preparation.
Absolutely.
For where I am now.
100%.
If I didn't do that, if I didn't cook first on land, pivot over to the yacht industry, I would never have found myself sitting here now filming, recording podcasts.
Right. So it's the little steps.
It's the little goals that you might not even know what your end goal is going to be, but it's the mindset first.
Right.
It's figuring out what do you do today to make tomorrow better, and doing that little by little every day. And God will show you, in my personal opinion. He will show you. You've got to be aware. You got to be woke. You got to be willing to receive. But he will show you what is your next step. And once you're ready to receive it, that's when you start implementing it. That's when you start rolling with it. That's when like these things just start happening and happening and happening. And it's all because of the mindset, your willingness to be okay with receiving what it is that's coming at you, good or bad.
Right.
But yeah, without doing all of those little baby steps and all those years, like I have grinded for 30 years in cooking. Okay. Hospitality is a tough fucking industry.
Oh yeah.
And then go from land to a boat where you're confined in a small area. You know, you've been on these boats, small areas, 7 crew, 9 crew.
That would be
crew,
the hard part. What is being so confined
with a whole bunch of different personalities.
You couldn't just be like, you know what? Hey, I'm going to the store. Nah, wait, we're miles off at sea. We ain't going nowhere.
No,
like call the helicopter. I'm out of here.
Yeah, and it ain't your helicopter, so it ain't coming. You're a crew member. You're not the billionaire.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I mean, you know, all of that stuff led me to where I am now, and I'm super happy for it for sure. Yeah, I love that whole podcast situation just got flipped on me.
There you go. Surprise.
I love it. I welcome all the guests to come and do this. I'm a big talker. I like talking about, you know, what the person in the chair's got going on in their life, and I have no problem sharing what's going on.
You know what I think is very cool is listening to, in my aspect, is listening to other people's success stories. Mm-hmm. Or it doesn't even have to be success, just their stories, where they came from, mm-hmm. how, you know, what their childhood was like, what their midlife was like.
Yeah. To
see where they're at now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best thing anyone can do is like, if you're walking around outside or whatever and you see someone older, like sitting on a bench, go sit down next to them.
They got some knowledge.
Ooh, do they got stories, right? Like
yeah, like 70, I like listening, 80? Talking to like old vets.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they got the real stories. Like, give me the juicy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's where you'll learn the most stuff, right? You can go to a classroom, you can go to high school, you can go to college, and you can learn the book, and you can learn all this stuff. But once you get out there in the world and you start connecting with people, I think that's a big thing. Like right now, unfortunately, our world is kind of separating from the tangible connection of people because we're so like on the internet.
Right.
And everything's very convenient. And
mobile. I know. You go to the bar nowadays and people ain't even talking to each other. They're on their phone. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I could do it. That's at my house.
Exactly. I remember when I used to sit in a bar, I used to tell people this, going back to the thing where you say like, you never know what other people's story is. You never know what's going on in their life. But I'd be sitting at my local pub and someone would sit down next to me. I figured this out when I was traveling around the world by myself. In a normal atmosphere, someone would sit down next to you and they'd say hi to you, and you'd kind of like look at them and be like,
"Yeah, are you talking to me?
What are you talking to me for?" Right? But when you're in that atmosphere of travel, you know, you can walk into a hostel and you don't even know like these 5 people sitting at the table. Next thing you know, you could be going on a pub crawl with them, you could be going on a museum with them, and all you did was say hi to them.
Yeah.
Now you're in a bar, it's even harder because everyone's on their phones. They're disconnecting from all of the humans around them.
Yep.
It makes it even harder to approach someone. My theory when I got back from my trip around the world was when someone sat down next to me and said hi to me, I would actually stop what I'm doing. I would turn around, I'd introduce myself, and I would say, "Oh, what brought you here?" And then all of a sudden they had someone new to talk to. You know, I'm not saying like every person is going to be safe to talk to and whatnot. You got to be cautious of like all that sort of stuff for sure. But again, it's being nice to someone else, giving an olive branch to someone who's, you don't know their story. They're brand new in the city. They might not have a job yet. They don't know anybody. And they're taking a huge risk on just saying hi to you.
Yeah.
So why not turn around and introduce yourself, introduce them to your friends, introduce them to the bartender that you know that you've been coming and seeing for months or years. And you've just helped them out in a huge way.
Yeah.
Yeah. The social disconnect, I think, is definitely something that we need to get back to and start.
Unfortunately, I think it's too far gone.
You think so?
I mean, you got these young kids nowadays that's all they know.
Right.
You know, at least in my generation, which you're a little bit older than me, but in my generation, I see it, and they're not even going to know what the regular stuff, you know, what it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there was times where we didn't even take our phones.
Dude, you remember that?
Like, we didn't even, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Now I leave the house on my phone. I'm like, oh shit, I got to go back. Turn around.
It's so funny you say that because what I've been doing lately is I purposely have been changing the way I deal with my phone. So when I go to bed now, by the time I go into my room, my phone is now not used for any scrolling or surfing or stuff like that, right? I try not to. And
do you break that sometimes?
I do sometimes right now because it's a new practice that I'm doing. And this is what I tell people. Everything in life is a practice. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be great at it right away, but keep practicing. So because of what I do for a living in this career, I do sometimes have to scroll through reels to see how other people are doing it and like, you know, maybe set up the next day's, you know, post or whatever. But what I do is I read in bed before I go to sleep. That's what kind of helps me kind of get drowsy. So once I pick up that book, the phone is now under my pillow. The alarm is set. The phone's under my pillow, and you know, I try not to touch it. But on top of that, I grew up in an era where we just had a phone on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Or we had the rotary dial. Like,
I'm not that old, but
what I do is if me and the boys are heading out for dinner or something like that, I realize I don't need to be on my phone when I'm in the car. I don't need to be on my phone when I'm in the restaurant. So I leave it plugged in the house, and I go.
Without it?
Without it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What, the first time were you like naked?
It was a bit weird because you obviously like.
I mean, that's like number one thing, like keys, phone, gun. We're out.
I love it. Keys, phone, gun. I'm in Florida.
Yeah, you're right.
The gun's
like
always there.
It's gun first, okay? Gun, keys, phone. We're good to go. Let's do this.
My boys, 100%, man. That was such a culture shock for me when I started coming to Florida. Was the gun thing. However, yes, it was weird at first because you're in the car and there's quiet, and all of a sudden you go to pull your phone out and it's not there. But I'm more engaged in what my friends are doing.
Absolutely.
You know, even the people in the back seat, I turn around, I start talking and conversing with them.
What are they on their phone?
They are at first. But once I like visibly turn and face them,
right,
that phone goes down, and then there's
so no
in the
seatbelt
conversation.
No seatbelt. You're not wearing your seatbelt?
No, I am. But I'm
no,
just
you turn around. You can't.
No, I don't mean like I stand up
come
and full
on.
turn around.
We're on the podcast. Tell us.
Come on, dude. Every car nowadays.
Oh, come on.
That annoying beep.
I have to be honest.
Beep,
I don't
beep,
wear
beep.
my seatbelt.
Really?
I don't.
Oh hell no! I do every time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, man.
For a couple reasons. A, I don't want that tap on the shoulder yet.
Okay. All right.
I don't want that tap on the shoulder yet, and that fucking noise in the car, man.
But some trucks only do it like for the first like minute or so, and then they don't do it.
Oh man, all my boys' trucks do it nonstop.
Oh man, just turn the music up. Just turn the music up. You want to hear it?
My truck doesn't do it because it's fucking 1987. But I'm just gotta have a seatbelt in there. But yeah, the disconnect from the phone is a very important thing. I grew up in a time where you had an answering machine at home, and yeah, we had pagers like by the time I was a teenager, but there was no. You went out. You went out and did your day, and you got home, and then you got your messages. And that was it.
I think about, you know, when we were younger, and, you know, obviously my parents had a cell phone when I was of age. And I didn't have a cell phone yet. Mm-hmm. So we were young and dumb. We'd take my dad's cell phone, and we'd go prank call people. Right? You know, we obviously weren't very smart.
Right.
Next day, they're calling back like, yeah, your kid was calling me at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're like,
oh, shit.
You know, dad got home. You're like, hey, dad. Whap. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Well, that's when the parent could discipline in a different way.
Yeah, I still believe in ass whoopings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I grew up with it. There's nothing wrong with it, in my personal opinion.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
I think that, you know, the world would definitely be a different place if we had more discipline.
Right.
For kids, for younger kids. I'm not saying to, you know, go in there and punch your kid in the face, but if they need a little pat on the ass, they need a little pat on the ass. Yeah. You know, it's something about a kid crying to me like sets off like another twitch. Yeah. I was in Target the other day, and there was these two parents. Yeah. Okay. And then we were sitting in line trying to check out, and their kid was just screaming. I mean, at the top of his lungs, just screaming. Mm-hmm. And I'm like looking around like, am I the only person that sees this? Like, there was two parents. One of them could have definitely took their kid outside until they stopped crying and then brought them back in. But they're just going on like nothing's even happened. I'm like about to lose my mind over it. I'm like, you know what? I don't even need this shit. I'm out.
Gone. I mean, it was different. Growing up in my household, we did things once. that was just it. Like, it didn't matter. Like, we knew by a certain age when we were out in public with the parents.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't having it.
Yeah.
Mom and dad.
Yeah, my dad did not have that shit.
Yeah.
Neither did my mom, but my dad, of course, was not having it. If we started acting up, we were out.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the car by ourselves.
I'm gonna put my glasses on here for a second. I'm gonna show you what my dad did. This is like when my mom watches this, she's gonna be like, "Oh my god, that's so Arthur." So my dad would have his glasses usually like so, right?
I can so see that.
And if you were doing so, and he would just kind of look over at you, he'd give you this look. And it was one motion. He didn't have a headphone
Yeah,
on, a headset on, but he would do that one motion with his glasses, with a straight
Shit was
face,
getting real.
and you almost shit your pants.
Shit was getting
You were
real.
like, when I get home, I'm fucked. But don't get me wrong, my mom, sweetheart that she is, love her to death. I pissed her off once in the car. I was probably 15 or 16, and I was bitching about something, like whatever, and that backhand came up so fast. I got hit on the nose.
I start watering. You don't know what to do.
I mean, that was my reaction. Like my mom just had enough.
Yeah.
You know, and that hand came quickly and it was done with.
Yeah.
Can't do that nowadays.
No, my mom let us get away with more stuff than my dad, of course.
Yeah.
My dad was around, like, you weren't a kid. You sit here and you ain't running around running around wherever we're at. You're going to sit right here and this is how it is. Your mom, our mom, you kind of got away a little bit more with it.
Had a little bit of leeway.
Yeah. Dad was there. It was like, no, we're good. No. Yeah. She always threatened us with that too. I'm gonna call your dad. No.
I got that before.
We're good. No. What, Mom? No, we're no problem.
I'm gonna sit
I'll
here.
sit right here.
Yeah. I'll get my study done. Yeah. Go to my room. My mom was hilarious actually because she was a sweetheart always and still is. And I remember just only a couple of times there was the backhand there I got once, and I remember I couldn't have been more than like grade 1. And I was sitting down by the front door waiting to go to school or waiting to go something, whatever. My oldest brother, Martin, was doing something wrong. And I witnessed my mom chase him up the stairs with a wooden spoon. And I have never seen this ever again in my life, but I saw my mom literally kick down the door. Door slammed. The next scene in the movie, Mom comes out with half the spoon.
She whooped his ass.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure it was probably just one hit.
Yeah.
It was like a wooden spoon, but it was a different time.
But you know what? We all turned out okay.
I think so.
We're not in jail.
Not at all.
Knock
on wood.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Never been caught for anything. Yeah. No, true fact. And I talked about, my oldest brother there. I have two older brothers. And they're phenomenal with their kids. Yeah. You can see, like, when I do go home and visit, like, you can see how much love my nieces and nephews have for their parents. And, they obviously don't reprimand them in the same fashion that we were reprimanded. But that's how, life changes a bit. But, yeah, I think there still could be a little bit, of that discipline allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we need it. Kids nowadays need it. I mean, they're screaming at their parents like, no tomorrow. Yeah. Like, bitch, if that...
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't even been able to get out of my face or my mouth.
Never swore, never said bitch. No, that would not go over well. I think that would be pretty much death then. Yeah.
My sisters, they didn't get it like me because obviously they're
the oldest
they're
boy.
Girls, and, Dad was like, it was like a fighting ring. Ding! Whip his ass.
Yeah.
No, Dad, no.
Oh, daughters are, dads are usually softer.
Of course.
Sure. It's okay.
I tell you what, as he got older, he got softer.
Yeah.
And now my youngest sister's got 2 kids, and he's like a big sissy with them. I'm like, what the heck? Who is this guy? Yep. Like, give him what we got.
No, not at all. When they become a grandparent, it's hilarious.
Oh man,
my father, the way he was with the three of us boys was one way, and without a doubt, when those grandchildren started showing up, it was night and day how he was. But that's good, that's the way life is.
It is, but it's just funny. Me and my middle sister Brooke, we talk about all the time. We're like, man, our dad, what the heck? What is this? Yeah. My mom too. She's definitely got softer with the grandkids. Ethan and Messiah. They, mom's
Messiah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I love that. It's an excellent name. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Mom, they definitely coddle them a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys are building sissies. Whip his ass. Grab him by the ear.
Yeah, not gonna happen. When they become a grandparent, that's like, it's a whole
then they're
different
like,
thing.
well, it's funny. Then my mom's like, that's not how you should do it. I'm like, oh, what was I, the trial and error?
I don't know. We didn't have cell phones back then, so we can't be like, but Mom, look at the video. This is what you did to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what kids have
now. I
now.
swear my mom forgets about half the shit. And I'm like, you don't remember this time? No, don't remember that. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Did you see there was a video out there on social media somewhere where this poor mom, she like took her kid's cell phone away, like a child, like under 10 years old, I think. Don't quote me on that. But like took the cell phone away from the child and he destroyed the apartment. Like, I mean, like throwing shit around, like the TV's broken, like the whole, like I'm talking thousands of dollars of damage.
What did the mom do?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get
oh, it's
really
okay,
into
honey.
it.
You need a little quiet space?
Yeah.
No problem. Shit.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine my child destroying my whole house.
I'm old school. I'm going old school. I'm whipping some ass.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would I'd hope I would never get to the point where the kid would do that. But again, I would also like, I'm different. I would set parameters.
We would have never got to that point to begin with.
Yeah. And that's because of the way we were brought up, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because I would have never thought about doing that.
Yeah. Well, like we said, like the cell phone thing for me right now, it's a new practice that I'm doing, which is trying to not be on it all the time. Especially, I have a job where it is part of my job where I have to do it. You know, your job, you absolutely, like, people are trying to get you 24/7. Yeah. That's the unfortunate part of having convenience in the world, is that you have to be readily available for them. But I think a new practice for everyone is important. Find something that you're doing in your life every day that's a bit of a distraction or holding you back from furthering yourself. Look at what that is and implement a practice to slowly get rid of that.
You know what I wish I did do, which I don't, is I wish I read a little bit more. I'm very bad at it, at reading. Like, I had astigmatism for a long time, and I got LASIK a couple years ago, and they kind of fixed it. But I wish I could get into it.
I giggle only because it's something that comes up in almost every podcast that I do right now. I was a horrible reader. The listeners will contest to me saying this part. I paid a lot of people to do my schoolwork when I was younger because I didn't want to do it and I didn't like reading. And fortunately for me, one of the girls I used to work with for Life Choices, her name is Brooks Daigle. She's an English major, and she edited a lot. She edited my book, and she edited a lot of my blogs and whatnot. But she got me into reading. Okay. And this was a couple years ago. And you can see from over here, I have a lot of books, right? So some of them are on the I've read side, and a lot of them I just...
so they're separate.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. I do that for myself so I can see my progress, actually.
So which side?
So the left side shelf here is the books I've read. And I've read these books in the past year.
I see one of the books up there, Ichabod. Or
Ikigai.
Yeah,
it's fucking phenomenal.
So after me and you were in the Bahamas, I ordered that book. Yeah, I did. I read a little bit of it, but then again, I'm not good at. Right. I'm good at reading. I'm smart. Right. It's not something that I enjoy. Okay. But I did read probably about a couple pages. A good amount of pages. Yeah. And I haven't picked it up since. Okay. But what I did read was awesome. Pretty smart, really good.
Yeah. I love that book so much. And the other side, I actually have just purchased because owning a business, a lot of money goes out, not a lot of money comes in. So I just came into some money because I got some tips on a charter, and I bought all of these other books, and that's what I do on a daily basis now. It's part of my everyday. Okay. I have to read 20 pages. It's so much of a practice now that, and don't get me wrong, we talked about this on the last podcast. Consistency is important, but you will not always be consistent. Okay. There are days that you won't. So I read every day 20 pages minimum, to the point where when I don't do it for a day, I feel so guilty. And then at night when I get into bed, that's one of the things that I have to let go. Okay. I have to say, okay, well, I feel guilty. I realize I didn't do something that I said I was going to do today. I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to do a bit more of it tomorrow.
Okay, so you do say, so tomorrow I'm going to do double.
Exactly.
I'm going to make up for this.
I'm going to make up for what I didn't do today. So I love reading now. Like, it's crazy. Like, I do. Now, some books don't grab me. Right. So you learn what books do, and you read about those. But what I'll say to anyone that says, I'm not good at reading, like I don't like it, is set a small goal. Say to yourself, I'm going to read 5 pages. That's it. 5 pages can't be more than like 15 minutes of your life. Yeah. Right? Whether it's before bed, whether it's on the crapper.
I mean, I hope you can read a little bit better than, a couple of pages for 5 minutes, but.
Well, right? You know what I'm just saying, set that small goal. I'm just going to, because then you're taking all the pressure off yourself of having to read the book.
20 pages.
Right? Or I have to read a book. Right. No. I want to read 5 pages today.
I tell you what I did realize when I was reading that book, a little bit a day, because I did the same thing. I was like, I'll read a couple pages. I couldn't remember what I read yesterday. Okay. So then I would have to read it again to be like, oh, that's right. That's what, okay. And then by that time, there's my couple pages.
Yeah. But that's fine then, because after a while, you'll start absorbing the information more because it's a practice. You have to keep doing it. It's also because you have a lot going on in your head on any given day. So I promise you, and I can guarantee you, while you're reading a page, you're thinking of other things.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So here's another thing that you have to implement to your practice of reading. When you're reading, you now have to practice not thinking of other thoughts. And that's difficult.
That's going to be difficult.
So you have to read the paragraph. And then if you didn't absorb it, if you think all you did was like float your eyes through it, go back up to the top of it. And if that means you only read 1 page a day, so fucking be it.
Yeah.
You're going to read that 1 page and you're going to know that one.
Yeah, right.
Page.
Know it like the back of your hand.
Absolutely. And then the next day, maybe you get to 2 pages and then 3 pages. And I promise you, if you want to further yourself as a human being, if you want to become a better boss, a better brother, a better friend, a better anything, read.
I'll agree with that.
It will
I don't do
help
it, but I
you.
agree with that.
And I'm not saying you have to read books on those topics. I'm just saying read. It will change your life. There are books up there that I've read that I've told to other people to read. And I love the fact that you're saying this. Like, we met, I talked about the book, and you went and you got it. Like, that's the first step. You went and got it, and then you started reading it. That's huge to me. That's a huge compliment. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Keep reading. Keep reading. Keep trying. Keep practicing.
And I tell you what it does do, because I talk about my mom with this.
Mm-hmm.
She reads a lot, and she had brought it to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you, I'm not going to say more intelligent, but when you talk to somebody, you sound more intelligent because you understand, you see more words, you read them in different ways to say them. I don't know if that's correct.
You
way to say
are
it, but
1,000% correct. So correct that it's either on a visual platform that I saw it, or it might have been in Patrick Bet David's book that I read that talks about that. The fact that when you're in a conversation with someone, if you can bring up a point from a book, it shows that you're knowledgeable.
Right.
It shows that you're educated. It doesn't matter if you went to Cornell or if you went to the community college. You're showing that you're educated.
Right.
And that's a huge thing. Absolutely. So absolutely keep reading, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
My grandmother, she's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but she read a lot.
Yeah.
And that lady could tell you about anything. I mean, anything.
Yeah.
You could just say, "Hey, grandma, if you wanted to know something, we called her, it was my big grandma.
Yeah.
We would call her big grandma because when we were younger, one of my grandmothers is very small.
Right.
And the other one is taller. So
Okay.
when we were younger,
Big
that's just, and
grandma.
it's stuck.
Yeah.
And, if you wanted to know anything, whether it was politics, whatever,
Yeah.
you
She
call
knew
grandma, she would know. And you're like, how did you even know that? It's almost like she knew before you even called. Like
Right.
she was studying before you called.
Yeah. Because she probably read her whole life.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that, I don't regret anything. I wish I had started reading earlier.
Sooner. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that I have, I'm never going to stop. I shouldn't say I'm never going to stop. I don't like using those words. I will continue to read every day.
Yeah.
I will put forth the effort to make sure that I'm reading something new every day. Absolutely. It's changed my life for sure. And it helps with this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a key factor if you want to be a good podcaster.
That is one thing that I'm going to try to do. Can't make no promises, but I'm going to try, practice. I'm going to use your words.
That's it.
I'm going to practice to read more. I'm not saying I'm going to read every day or every other day, but maybe once a week. Start off at once a week.
There's your goal.
Yeah.
Once a week, I'm going to read a few pages.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if it takes you 2 months to read a book, so be it. You're a busy motherfucker. You know what I mean? That's just facts.
Yeah.
But eventually, I think you'll get the knack of it. And once you start hearing yourself referring back to the things that you've read, I think that's what will catch you to get more reading.
That's going to be my biggest thing, is finding a book that I'm interested in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, we'll send you clips of this podcast, and obviously watch it when we air it, and listen to the topics we've talked about. Listen to the things that I got you to talk about that you said you think about or you implement in your life, and then go look for books on those topics. Go get a book on, afterlife, because it interests you. You're wondering what happened. So,
But how do they know?
I mean,
It's a good question.
That's a great question.
It's a good question,
Absolutely.
though. How are you going to read a book when nobody's ever,
Well, that's a great question. Well, then maybe don't get that book. Maybe get a book on something that is factual.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's an excellent point. Because now you're realizing, okay, I don't want to read sci-fi because it's not true.
Right.
Okay, but I do want to read sort of like a documentary type book because it's true facts about something that happened to that person.
But let me throw this curveball in there.
Yeah.
Maybe there are people that have died and came back.
I mean, there are.
But doesn't that make you even wonder even more? Like,
absolutely.
Man.
I mean, there are studies and there are people that say that they had like a near-death encounter and came back from it. And there's even proven fact that they were like flatlined and then they weren't. So yeah, I mean, they'll find those books. That'll definitely open up your brain a whole bunch. Yeah, yeah. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this recording today. I love how you flipped it on me a couple of times. It's not happened yet, so I'm interested to see how this turns out. I love the conversation. I'm glad we touched base on so many different topics. I hope everyone out there enjoyed listening to us talk about the trials and tribulations of becoming successful, the worries and the non-worries that we have going through life. Jordan, thank you so very much for coming.
It. Thank you so much
for
having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Everyone out there, thank you very much for coming back this week. We look forward to seeing you next week here on Life Choices. Don't forget to scroll down and hit subscribe. Tell a friend, comment, share, do whatever you can to get us out there. We appreciate it. All of Jordan's information will be in the lower part of the description. His company, if you own a motor vehicle, vessel that needs work on the engines, is the primary.
Yep, we do it all. But yes,
do it all. Okay, well. All the information for his business will be in the lower part there. So if you want to get some information on that, go ahead and hit up Jordan. He's a great human being. Like everyone we bring on this show, they're just wonderful people to talk with. I'm so happy that we got to do this finally.
Me as well.
Yeah, and you're welcome back whenever you want. We'll do another segment.
Absolutely. Awesome. Can't wait.
Amazing. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out for another week here on the Life Choices podcast. Don't forget to scroll on down and hit the subscribe button. Like, share, comment. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like. Don't forget to hit the bell, get notified when we post our YouTubes. And always remember, everyone, it's your move.
Ladies and
Much
gentlemen.
love.
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.